Mae Renfroe, and welcome back to another episode of Mighty Monday. I hope everyone has had a great weekend and a fantastic Monday. So, yeah, I'm your host, Mae Renfroe, and I have on my guest tonight, Christina Law. Christina is truly a masterpiece, and her story is unlike any you have heard before. And I'm going to let her, share some of the details of her story. So I don't want to get into that, too soon myself, but I'll say that she's been through a lot of trials, and yet she has found God's love and unexplainable joy and blessings. And she's the author of her book, Blessings from Within the Dark, and is a social media micro influencer. So, Christina, just a big welcome to my show, Mighty Monday tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, it is an honor, and I'm excited to hear you share more of your story here with us. And I love these kind of stories. I love, the opportunity that I get to talk to my guests here on Monday Monday to be able to share those with others. What God can do with someone's life when they're surrendered, and someone's life that even when it goes through the craziest and wildest things in life, and yet what God can do. So, yeah, you can go ahead and introduce yourself more. Take us into your story, Christina.
Okay, so my name is Christina Law, and I was born in 1980, and I was born with spina bifida. And so I have to basically take you back to when I was born. So I was born July 24th, 1980. And back in the 80s, they didn't have like the ultrasounds and stuff. And so you didn't know back then whether or not you would have like a healthy baby or anything. It was just basically you would just know um, that you were doing well from like checks and whatever. And so when I was born, um, my mother saw me, and basically, before she could even count my 10 fingers and 10 toes, they had already whisked me away from her and into the NICU. And from there, I was transferred to um, St. Francis Hospital, and I was uh, I had surgery 2 weeks after that. I was 2 weeks old, and that
Oh,
began my surgeries. And basically, my entire life was in and out and in and out and in and out of the hospital. I was surgery after surgery after surgery. I ended up with 34 surgeries. And by the time I was 32 years old, I had 33 surgeries. And the 33rd surgery that I ended up having ended up paralyzing me.
oh,
And yeah, the paralysis, it was a very dark time, um,
mhm.
because, I mean, as you would think, being able to walk and then suddenly being thrust into not being able to walk was just harrowing.
Oh, yeah.
When I when I had that yeah, when I had that surgery, um, I was it was to help me walk better. And
Mm. Oh,
I went, yeah, and so I went in and I had the surgery, and I remember waking up and I was feeling around on my legs because I had an itch and I went to itch it and I realized I couldn't feel my legs. So I was feeling around on my legs and all of a sudden it clicked into my brain, even though I was, had anesthesia brain. It clicked into my brain um, that I was paralyzed. And I was basically paralyzed from the waist down. So that was really difficult. And I went through a time, so I grew up in church and everything, and I loved God and everything. But when that happened, I went through a time where I just kind of turned away from Him. Like I was very bitter and it was a very dark time. And I ended up, because of the laws here in Oklahoma, they don't provide much of anything. And I couldn't stay with my family because my mom and dad are elderly. And so I ended up in the nursing home. And it was really, really difficult for me in the nursing home. Again, because I was new to it all. I was bitter towards God for what had happened. And so I started learning how to live in the nursing home and do things and get by, you know, being happy and everything, like for the most part. And then I met my husband. And my husband, he we met, we fell in love, and he was able to leave, and I ended up basically leaving with him. And so we got out into the community again for around 2 years. And like halfway through that, though, he ended up getting really, really sick. And he lost his, um, he lost, so he had lost his legs already, both of them. He had type 1 diabetes, and complications caused him to have kidney failure, and he had to go into dialysis. And so, but even so, like we were still happy, like we were so happy, and like so much good was happening with I had turned back to God by then. And um and we both were like so happy. And we ended up back in the nursing home, though, because he was so sick and it was hard for us to take care of each other. And so um after that, um basically he ended up um passing away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
hmm It was 10 months after we were married, and we were, you know, I became bitter again, as
Mm-hmm.
as anyone would. And so and then COVID hit.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And then so it was like one thing after another. And when COVID hit, I don't know if you remember, but it hit nursing homes really hard.
I heard.
And yeah, we ended up being locked down for 1 year, basically almost like we was in a prison,
Oh my
and
goodness.
wasn't able to get out, wasn't able to see family. And I was like tired of everything, and I was just like, God, if you're there, get me through this, and help me. And he did.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
um so fast forward to last year, I decided that, you know, everything that I had been through, I was learning that everything that I had been through, it was like every dark thing was actually, there was blessings in that. Like
Mhm.
if I hadn't went through being disabled my entire life, I wouldn't know how to deal with the nursing home. If I hadn't had um, if I hadn't had to go to the nursing home, I wouldn't have met my husband.
Mhm.
And all of these things led me to write my book um, that you talked about, Blessings from Within the
Yeah.
Dark. And that's what that's about, is how to find those blessings that are so deep in when you're like at your best and when you're at your worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to do that when you're in your worst of times. So finding your blessings when you're in your happiest state is like the best time to
Mhm.
to practice that, so that you get into the habit of it, so that when the dark times come, you're already in the habit of, okay, well, this is dark time. What can I pull out of that?
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yes, quite the journey. Like I
mm-hmm,
original, like no one else has gone this quite quite like that. That everyone has their stories and things, but that is just amazing how you found the hope of God in the middle of it and blessings in your darkest times, and now how you are sharing that with others to help them find blessings and light in the darkest of their times. Wow,
mm-hmm. And especially in a
that's
time
amazing.
when it's especially in the time when we need hope right now. Like people are desperate for hope
Hmm.
right now. So I think that was even like the best time for me to write this book was now.
Hmm. Yeah. So when did this book come out then? Blessings from Within the Dark.
It came out last year in last March.
Okay. Wow. I will have to get it. Yeah, yeah, to be able to read, especially I get a lot of books that I can share with my older daughters that are ages 14 and 17 too, or 50, she's turned 15, but to inspire them and to help them grow in their faith and their walk with the Lord, and I just love things like that, so that would be a great one to I can read with them too, so yeah,
Hmm.
that's good. Wow. Um, and so
Yeah,
what are some things I'm sorry, go ahead.
one story that I have about the finding those blessings is that hang on one second, sorry.
Okay.
So, my husband, um, when we were married, he was blind,
Mm.
and completely blind. And when we were planning our wedding, my I went in to look for a cake decorator, and ended up finding a wedding planner that wanted to do our wedding for free. And then she talked to somebody, and they decided they wanted to give us a free photo package. And so the wedding went off without a hitch. It was beautiful. Like, I
Wow.
mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
Um, but unfortunately, he couldn't see me. And so a few months after our wedding, um, he ended up getting his eyes operated on and was able to see again. And he was able to see the pictures and kind of live through it again with me, but through pictures.
Yeah. Wow.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
So that
Well,
was
that's
a
a miracle
a
story.
miracle.
Story.
Uh-huh.
Wow. That is really amazing, really precious to be able to see like the hand of God in those different details and see that he's like that he cares, that he sees you, you weren't forgotten in those times. Yeah. Wow. So what are like some really big things that you really want others to kind of get, from your story to really to hang on to in their times?
Well, like I said, you can't choose what happens to you, but you can choose how you respond to it. And sometimes I think that, happiness is a choice that we make.
Mhm.
We can choose to um, be upset about, things that happen to us for a little bit. But if we stay in it, that's when we get stuck, and it's harder to get out. It's harder to um find blessings, and it's harder to um yeah, like I said, get out of it.
Mhm.
Um and yeah.
So you had to probably be purposeful sometimes about trying to find the bright side of things, I imagine, right? And try to find things to be thankful for in that. I bet that
Mhm.
really helped you.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Wow. So you've been in the nursing home now for the last, about 10 years?
13.
13 now. Okay.
13 years. Mhm.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
is what a journey. And so you are, besides your book, you are a social media influencer. Okay, so on
Yes.
YouTube? Okay. I just
Um
noticed when I read your bio earlier, I haven't had a chance to look you up, so I haven't. Yeah, I have to look you up
yeah,
there.
so on TikTok, I'm pretty I I do like lives about twice a week on TikTok.
Hmm.
I have a pretty good following there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's neat. I'll have to, yeah, go follow you there. So, well, I don't have TikTok, but you said TikTok. But are you on YouTube too, or like Instagram?
Mhm.
On
Yeah, I'm
both
on
of those.
YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as Nursing
Okay.
Home Chick.
Oh, okay. That's
And
the name, nursing home chick.
uh-huh.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I like to talk to people about the nursing home and like what it's like, and also um just I like to talk about my book. I like to talk about the different things to look out for in the nursing home.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um yeah.
Oh, wow. So this
So
would really be good then for those that are like in nursing homes too. I mean, I'm sure it's
I
not
mean
for
it's a
everybody.
little
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's a little different, like, cuz I've met a lot of people that are in nursing homes and stuff,
Yeah.
that are closer to my age, which is
Okay.
surprising, but um yeah.
Yep. because for different reasons. I mean, like yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's neat. So I bet you're a ray of sunshine there in that nursing home. So you encourage those that you're around too. Yeah,
I try to, yeah.
yeah. To encourage, yeah, because it can be,
And
a hard world.
one thing that I always do is I try to tell everybody that I meet that when no matter what your situation you're in, you have to find your purpose.
Mhm.
And like one of the purposes that I had when I first went in the nursing home was I would sit with people that were passing away, and
Okay. Oh wow.
I would sing to them and talk to them, and
Yeah.
it really became a ministry of mine.
Wow. That is so amazing. How wonderful. God, God just gave you, yeah, a ministry platform there in the nursing
Hmm.
home. Like you have people just right there that are like, desperate for hope, desperate for company. It doesn't always have their families that can come visit and so on. And so then you're there to be able to give them company and someone to listen to. You can listen to them, someone to for them to talk to, you to talk to. And
Hmm.
wow, oh,
Yeah,
it's
and
so neat. I like
I'm
that.
using a lot of the funds that I get from the book to and I'm putting them away and saving them for to get out of the nursing home and get into assisted living. But unfortunately, we're like, because of the laws and how things are these days, you have to come up with a lot of money. So I'm
Mhm,
using that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book. Not the
mhm,
main reason,
mhm.
but yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, that is so good. I love hearing that. And yeah, you were mentioned that you had sometimes when you had gotten bitter at God. So right after when you first got paralyzed, is that right? And then after you lost your husband, so understandably so, that can happen. We can go through these things. But what can, can you share if there's something really specific like that helped you get through that, get past that? Something you could really share with someone else, going through that.
So I think I think what it was just, so it was kind of different because when it was my legs, like when I found out that I was paralyzed,
Hmm.
like I went through a really dark time.
Hmm.
Um and like it took probably a good year before I really was just like surrendered it all to him.
Hmm.
Um and But when I was with my husband, it was different because we were so in tune with God that I immediately gave it to him, like as he was, because I had to make the decision to turn things off and everything,
Oh.
and so I like I went through a hard time, but I went through a hard time with him by my side.
Hmm.
See, God doesn't tell us that he's going to take things away from us. Sometimes he will, but sometimes he wants us to go through things so that he can walk through them with us.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow, and he's in the business of drawing us to himself, right? Drawing us to that
Hmm.
closer relationship. Yeah.
Right, he says he's close to the brokenhearted.
Mhm. And heals those with a contrite spirit. As
Right.
the song goes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's after our hearts. God is.
Hmm.
He's after our hearts. Um, that's really beautiful. I mean, we can go through a lot of things and not understand. In your situation, that God can control things, could have stopped these things from happening, could have prevented it from happening, could have changed a lot of the things, um, but he didn't. But you could have seen his hand in there and just have known, like if these things happen, it's kind of what you said earlier in your sharing with us that if these certain things hadn't happened, then you wouldn't be where you are today to be able to share
Right.
that hope. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. Well, that's beautiful. I just thank you so much for sharing your story, and yeah, it's been a hard one, but God is good, and He's not done writing your story. He's not
Right.
done yet. He's not done writing any of our stories, and so we just need to be so grateful that we're still here, we're still alive and breathing. He's got a plan and a purpose for us, and like for you, that He's got great things in store yet for you in your life, and to continue to be a blessing to those you're around. Yeah. Is there kind of anything else that we missed that you would like to share? Maybe any like section of the book or something else that you want to be able to you have this opportunity to share with our audience, because we've had a lot of everyone watching live here. I'm so grateful for everyone on. Big thank you for everyone.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, you can find me at the Nursing Home Chick on pretty much all platforms, except for X. I'm not on X, but um, and yeah, I have a pretty good following on TikTok. I it's just kind of one of those things we just do whatever. But the book is $14.99 for the soft cover, $24.99 for a hardcover, and $9.99 for the ebook. And then I also have a devotional and a journal as well.
Oh, okay.
But
So it's something you you could kind of buy it as a bundle or
hmm it's on Amazon.
okay. Oh,
And yeah, just remember, like I said, that if you're going through something hard, he might not take it away. He might want to walk with you through
hmm
that.
hmm yeah, because there's like growing in that, and it's through that, then with that, because we've gone through with that same comfort that we've been given, we can give to others as a verse. I'm not going to try to quote it, but I don't know, and I'm sure you know it. Um, But yeah, sometimes he takes us through things. Like in the Bible, there is so many stories where he could have, they could have avoided something, but he took them through some things and getting them to where they need to be. Like I love the story of Joseph, all the things,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things went against him in his story, and what his brothers did to him, um, and we say to brothers and assault the accused and put in jail at that time. Anyone that knows the story of Joseph in the Bible and all those things, but yet it was getting him to where he needed to be. And at the end of the story, it says it wasn't you that sent me here; it was God. God needed me here at the time to save me.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like what the enemy meant, what you meant to harm us, God meant for my good, for our good, and that's wonderful. So yeah, just
Right.
like our stories. Yeah, yeah.
And I really believe that, like, Satan has something meant for our harm. And God is like, "Oh, fine, I'm going to let her go through it, and I'm going to let her be, go through it with grace, and I'm going to bring her out of it." Basically, to show him you're
Yeah,
not ruling over her life.
it's like, "You didn't win, enemy. You didn't win." No, that
Hmm.
this is being turned around for something greater than he ever thought. Yeah, 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 just like the story of, yeah, Joseph as well, and just like with the story, I mean, of Jesus, where they thought, "Okay, let's put him to death." Well, we know story that was part of the plan, and because
Yeah,
of that we have the hope of Jesus, the forgiveness of our sins, and we have hope because he lived. Yeah,
that's right.
yeah, yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, we could keep talking,
No
but I don't know
problem.
if you have anything else you want to share here. And yeah, I just think everyone that is catching this live, and hope everyone will share the story with others that can inspire, and what God has done for you, Christina. God can do for anyone that's sharing, for anyone else. God is the same for any of us, the same yesterday, today, and forever. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank you so much. And I'll have all the links and stuff in the description, like you mentioned. I'll put all of that in your bio in the description where they can connect with you and find your stuff in your book. So, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you take care. All the best to all the things that you do.
Thank you
You're a
so
light
much
there.
for
Okay.
having me again.
Okay. You're welcome. Continue to be a light. Everybody have a good week. I'll see you back here next Monday. Take care.